We are back live on SportsCenter tonight, and every morning before coming into work, I like to take a jog around my neighborhood. My guess is many of you have plenty of physical activity or exercise as part of your day, but safe to say no matter how hot or cold the conditions are when you're out there or how rigorous your workout at the gym may be, whatever you're doing is probably nothing compared to what this brave young lady went through running herself. So it got us thinking about the other great athletes overcoming adversity.
Well, we have been over the last few weeks spotlighting athletes who are who are working in healthcare, and so now we're here to you. And
yes, I am.
yeah, so now we want to talk to you. So I guess to start, talk to us about your path to where you are now, since leaving Idaho State to kind of what you've been doing to get to where you are at this point.
Absolutely. So after I graduated from Idaho State, the next fall I started at the University of Montana in their Doctorate of Physical Therapy program. So I spent 3 years in Missoula learning how to be a PT, and I graduated with my doctorate last May, actually exactly a year ago, May 4th. So.
Nice.
And then I ended up taking a job in Bozeman for about a couple months, and it just wasn't quite a good fit. So I ended up taking a job up in the Flathead Valley area, working in Kalispell and living in Whitefish. So for the past 8 months or so, I've been up in Kalispell area, Montana, working as a physical therapist. So due to the obvious recent development of COVID, we are still seeing patients as a clinic. We have extended our hours. Usually we do 45-minute appointments, so we've extended that to hour appointments, leaving a 15-minute buffer for patient cleaning. We see patients who are willing to come in, so patients who are younger, are not seeing people at risk, or have no increased risk themselves. And then we are also offering teletherapy to patients who maybe shouldn't come into the clinic, or, have family members that are at increased risk due to underlying illness or age or any of the factors that, would be risky to come into PT. So we kind of sat down as a clinic because I am an outpatient. So there's been a debate on whether outpatient therapy is necessary or not, but we had, up until I want to say the second weekend of March in Montana, they were doing elective surgeries. So, and any sort of surgeries. So I had several post-trauma patients who had pretty severe injuries go under surgery, ACL repairs, etc., that had just happened. So we decided that a lot of these patients are pretty essential care, because if you don't, rehab someone who's 2 weeks with 11 screws in their tibia, they might not walk, the same again. So we stayed open. So that's kind of been interesting, and trying to adjust to maintain, 6 feet distance, schedule patients apart and whatnot. But so far we're still operating. And then
what inspired you to want to kind of go this route?
To go this route, in terms of physical therapy,
Yeah, physical therapy, healthcare.
Yeah.
Did you always want to know to go with healthcare? It just took you a while to get physical therapy, or?
So I was super simple. I got hurt as a 12-year-old playing soccer, and I went to a physical therapist and they fixed me, and I thought that was super cool. So I had I think it was middle school, we took like career aptitude tests, and I decided that I tested that I would be good in the healthcare field, and I wanted to be a physical therapist. And obviously, as I went through high school and especially college, I learned that physical therapy is a lot more than just like sports rehab, but it still spoke to me. So just, thinking of people who can't do what they want to do, whether it's going out and walking to get their mail, walking their dog, even just going to the store every day, kind of realizing if I was someone who couldn't do that, how upsetting that would be, kind of stuck with it. So I was super lucky and sort of found my passion young, and stuck with me as I learned more and more about it. So I was one of the lucky ones that got to go straight from high school, college, right to grad school, and kind of get in, get out. And so right now I'm an outpatient PT, and we see a pretty good mix of younger, but also a lot of middle-aged people to older people. And kind of the middle age is my favorite, because I feel like as we get older, we start to get, a lot of wear and tear, and you get a rotator cuff repair and a knee replacement, and all of a sudden you can't do the simple things. And it's really fun to be able to get people back to just like, hey, I want to go on a couple-mile hike, and I can't do that. And then suddenly, they come to PT for a while, and then they can do it. So
What, as you look back at your time at Idaho State, what do you remember, or experiences, or what stands out to you?
What stands out to me is just being part of the athletic community, and how lucky I was to have an instant support group, an instant friend group, and just really the bonds and the experiences that I had at Idaho State. I think I was supremely lucky in college to be a part of an athletic program that gave me such a deep connection to, I have lifelong friends from there, and a lot of people with similar mindsets. And especially being part of the track team, it's co-ed, so both female and male input into my life. Just sort of, I just think I was really lucky to be in the athletic community at Idaho State, and nothing but fond memories from both the competitive aspect, being part of the track team, and then just the school itself, like being a part of being a Bengal and getting to do all my classes and then go to practice afterwards, and having that network that I feel like was really close and well connected at Idaho State.
A lot of people, obviously remember your final meet, but I wanted to first talk about, you were a good hurdler. You were a good hurdler. I mean, there's a reason why you qualified for the final.
I did things before I tore my Achilles.
Yes. And so I wanted to talk, just kind of talk about your growth and, your progression in track and field, just kind of, just kind of how you, prepared yourself for those moments.
Yeah. I think for me personally, a big thing was the transition between my junior and senior year. Learning to relax and enjoy the experience was huge. So as a runner, everything comes down to maybe 14 seconds, 13 seconds. And that's a very small amount of time, but learning to just relax and enjoy those seconds was huge for me, because turns out running relaxed is actually a faster time than running super tight and nervous. So for me, it was, those years of training and getting my body ready to actually getting my mind ready to be relaxed and run. And that really clicked for me my senior year, actually, when I qualified for all those, because I learned to sort of combine the hard work, but also the aspect of having fun and just being a competitor because I loved it, not just, oh my gosh, I have to race this well, to do this and do that, but sort of, I love doing this. I'm just going to go do what I know I can do. So for me, the mental aspect was huge my senior year, and sort of just figuring out that, hey, I can do this. Let's enjoy it because this is what I'm here to do. And then your body actually responds to what your brain is doing. And that's kind of carries on into life, honestly, with, you know, PT school. It's very stressful. You have to maintain I believe it's this, and at the school I went to, a C+ is technically a failing grade. So you have to maintain above a C+ just to stay in the program. So taking kind of a step back in the same aspect and being like, no, I'm here because I love to do this. I've been training for this. I know I can do it. Just take the test and, you know, study and let what I've, you know, prepared for this guide me through. So kind of ended up being a good like precursor to life, sort of the figuring out that yes, you have to train for something, but you also just have to enjoy it.
You know, what about the attention you received? Now, as you reflect back on that, you know, is it still kind of a holy cow, or is it, you know, what's your thoughts on that?
You know, when I think back, it's still a little bit of holy cow, just because thinking back to how, like, you know, widespread that became, and thinking of what, you know, what happened after that injury, it is kind of surreal still looking back to think that became so widespread. And I'm happy it did, because it, you know, brought light to people in my similar position, and obviously Idaho State, which was pretty awesome. But I think it's still pretty, you know, I kind of not forget about it, but oh yeah, that happened. And then when I stop and think about it, it's like, oh no, like if you Google me, like I come up under ESPN, and like that's pretty crazy. So,
Well,
yeah, I still think it's pretty incredible, even though it's been 4 years. The fact that that happened how it did is still pretty. It was a horrible situation for me personally, but like still pretty cool how it turned out.
do you still have your direct message that Des Bryant sent you?
I do. Yeah, I screenshotted it. I also have the tweet. I also have the tweet from The Rock,
Yes.
Dwayne. Yeah, I kept those. That's my my bragging point.
Did you ever get your Europe trip in?
I did. Yep, not the same countries, but my graduation from PT school. So I had to wait 3 years, but I got it. So,
Nice.
yes, 3 years later.
Nice. What people don't know is, didn't you re-tear it like 2 weeks after you originally did it?
Yeah, I did. So I had surgery, I fixed it, and then 2 weeks later I fell in the shower and re-tore it. And I'll be honest, that was about 1,000 times worse. Like the first time, it's okay, this really sucks, but it's fixed, it's done with. And then to have to redo the same surgery 3 weeks later was psychologically like horrible. So the hardest part of my whole thing was actually after all the, you know, crazy ESPN and everything had already passed, and then suddenly it was like, I'm still here, and I just retore it and I reset the clock to 0. So that was so I feel like that really helps with my patients, because it's like, oh well, this is a bummer, and it's like, no, I understand. Like psychologically, yeah, that was a doozy.
Right. No, I bet. And how far are you from where you're from working right now?
5 hours from Bozeman.
5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So you grew up in Bozeman, right?
Yep.
You grew up. Gotcha.
Grew up in Bozeman, so I'm living in Whitefish.
Whitefish. So, okay.
Yep.
Good. Well, thank you for a few minutes. I appreciate your time.
No problem.
I'm glad to hear you're doing well.